Welcome everyone to Pod and Gore, your one-stop shop for everything horror. Now here's your hosts, Justin and Brandon. Take it away, boys.
Alright, start us off again.
For real this time?
Oh, it's so hot. It's so hot. I'm uncomfortable. God. Yeah, this is definitely not going to go up on the fucking episode thing, dude, because, like, literally, it's just going to be me bitching about how hot it is, and then we're going to be like, huh? All right, let's go ahead. Oh, good, you took notes.
Yeah. Well, not about the actual. Yeah, I'm with you, though.
All right.
I got you on this. Mostly.
He claims he can read. Hi, Mom. Hi, Mom.
Even your mom's giving you shit.
Gabe, I can
That's
read.
so
It's just
cool.
It's just super tiny. This is how I can't, because I can see it on there, but I'm trying to get fucked.
Go like that.
Huh? Oh, you zoomed in on your face.
Well, I zoomed into the screen, stupid. Just move
All right,
over.
Let's just get it.
Ready to go
Yes,
without complaining? Okay.
So hot. There, that's better.
Okay.
The infamous fucking
Don't even try. You're gonna.
ingenuity at its finest here. Oh, that works. All right, let's get going. People are gonna leave. All three of them.
I don't blame them.
My mom's like,
I'd
she
leave.
gave up on me already.
I'd leave if I could get out of here.
All right, so well, it's been about an hour now trying to get this set up, but we went to go see Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Well,
I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
This thing is blocking my face.
Good. Well, then,
You can see all my gut, too. Jesus. Get going, man.
if you'd shut up, I'd start the episode proper, so we could have it for the.
Start it proper.
I
I'm
will.
going to have so much editing to do.
Yeah. So shut up.
You
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first official live podcast we've ever done for Pod and Gore.
Yeah, and it has been a fucking nightmare. we tried
For anybody who's actually joined us live, it's
Yeah.
been a real treat and a half show.
Right, we tried to do it on YouTube. Apparently, you have to. It said something about giving 24 hours notice.
Which is something that would have been very helpful to know 24 hours ago.
But I'm not trying to go like do a dry run live, like
Like we're doing now.
Well, this is improvising.
Yeah. My name is Justin.
My name is Brandon.
And welcome to the show.
Yes.
And welcome in all three of you that are listening to this live on the Facebooks.
Thank you.
And sorry to all of you who wanted to see this on the YouTubes. Better luck next time.
Yeah.
like big time.
Yeah.
So this, like Brandon said, we went to see Scary Tales to Tell in the Dark.
Stories.
Scary Stories to Tell in the
We just
Dark.
saw the movie.
Yeah, well, that was an hour ago. It was directed by Andre Overdahl. That's how I'm going to say that. The O has a line through it. I don't know how to pronounce that. It's based on the children's book series of the same name by Alvin Schwartz. Screenplay was adapted by Dan and Kevin Hagman from a screen story by producer Guillermo del Toro, as well as Patrick Melton and Marcus Dunstan. Stars Zoe Colletti, Michael Garza, Gabrielle Rush, Austin Abrams, Dean Norris, who was in Breaking Bad and pretty much the only person in this that I recognize.
Oh,
The
yeah,
dad.
Hank, yeah.
Yeah. Gil Bellows and Lorraine Toussaint. Budget of $28 million. As of when I took these notes several hours ago, it had made $8.8 million.
Several hours ago. Before we were going to start for real.
Yeah.
We've actually started this like 14 different times now, so.
But I have a good feeling about this one because there's no turning back.
Yeah, we are in it.
So, we've only done like one review so far. It was Brightburn, episode 4.
Yeah, going in without notes or...
Yeah. Be sure to go listen to that because it was actually a lot better than this is going to end up being.
Yeah, this is bonus. This is bonus content, though.
Yeah. So, it sucks to be you guys. You want more episodes? This is what you're going to get.
No, don't listen to that because we just lost everybody.
Everybody's gone now?
They might be.
I don't blame them.
McNair just came in.
Oh, near.
Oh, near. Oh, near.
So, initial...
So hot. I am. basement's the worst. Basements are supposed to be cooler. It's not the case in your house.
The door's closed, and we've been running technology for the last hour trying to get this to work.
Yeah.
So initial thoughts from me is, I mean, I've never read the books. I'd never even heard of the books. I was a Goosebump kid. Mm-hmm. Shake your head no. I really like this.
I did too. I liked it a lot, actually. I read the books as a kid, but I don't remember them because that was a long time ago.
Sure.
And as you might have noticed, I don't really plan things well.
Mm-hmm.
More of a I more improvise.
Fly by the seat of your pants.
Yeah,
Hope for the best. Expect the worst.
Yeah, it usually pans out pretty good.
Except for this time.
Yeah, not this time. Not at all.
Yeah. Well, and I assumed this was rated R until it got closer and I actually paid attention and looked and realized it was PG-13, and I'm really intrigued by this new rush of PG-13 horror.
Right. I might keep going.
Okay.
Oh.
Better?
Yeah.
I really like it. I mean, it's essentially all you need to make it R-rated is more gore and some nudity. You know what I mean? That's sure. And that certainly helps, but it's not what you need to make a horror movie. I saw Happy Death Day.
I haven't watched that yet. I still need to.
You do. It was really good. The sequel, not so much, but
I thought you said it was.
The first one's better.
Oh, okay.
I watched it and I went, okay, so this is what PG-13 horror can bring, but seeing this, I would say this is PG-13 horror at its best, having only seen like 2 or 3.
Okay.
I mean, aside from having to deal with the other people in the theater, which was irritating and sucked me out of almost every tense moment of the movie.
Yeah.
It was really disturbing and scary. Like the scarecrow thing.
Yeah.
Super creepy.
Yeah, until the 2-year-old got upset.
Yeah.
Somebody brought a fucking 2-year-old to this movie. Okay, so there was 10 people in this theater.
Mm-hmm.
We're sitting right in the middle, which is probably what we shouldn't have done.
No.
But there was nobody really in there when we got there. So, so we sat down. Somebody sat down 3 spots to my right.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody directly behind us. A family with a fucking toddler off to the side. And,
I didn't pay this much attention.
Yeah. Oh, I did. I was pretty pissed. Yeah, it was incredibly frustrating. Gore is not the same as horror, in my opinion. I agree.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I mean, the gore aspect, and for those listening after this, Brandon's reading off the
we're
live stream comments. So if you just hear him spout off some random thing, that is likely what it's from, or he's having a fit.
Probably both.
Yeah.
Depending on what Gibb says next.
Yeah. I agree, though. Gore doesn't necessarily need to equal horror, but you're so used to that added shock of the blood spurt or the head being ripped off.
Yeah.
That it really, it goes hand in hand anymore. But this, do we want to do non-spoilers and then spoilers?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
Well, I mean, what is there really to spoil, though?
I don't know. Deaths? Like most horror movies? Who dies and how?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck it. It says it in the title. It's a review.
Fair enough. If you haven't seen Scary Stories and you are listening live...
give you a stroke.
No, just be prepared.
I fell into the trap.
I'm not listening to you. I'm just trying to run the show like a decent human being. If you haven't watched the movie and you are joining us live, or if you're listening to it after when we post this come Monday, just be prepared for spoilers. If you don't want anything spoiled for you from this point on, I hate to say leave, live people, but just be prepared. You might hear something you don't want to hear.
Yeah, Gabe said spoilers are fine.
Good.
Good, because you're going to get them.
Glad you approve, Gabe.
Yeah, Gabe.
I think my favorite story, because they told, like 4?
Well, each person really had their own story.
Yeah, so they told 4 or 5 stories of the different people.
Ryan said, hey, Justin, ?
Hey, Justin, ? I haven't changed my name to ?
You're an idiot. This is why you don't have a lot of friends.
I may not have good taste, but I like you.
Most people do. Except for this guy who didn't say hi to me. It's okay.
God, would you shut up so I can freaking get my train of thought going? I knocked over one of my toys.
That's what I'm here for.
Classic.
Yep.
My favorite one is the Scarecrow. I think it was the first one out of the gate, but the suspense of what was his name? Harry? Henry?
Harry or Henry?
Henry or Harry. Him, he was creepy looking in the first place. And I almost wish I hadn't seen a trailer for this.
Yeah, speaking of trailers.
Brandon's going to go off on another tirade. I'm going to sit here and sip my soda.
It'll be quick. We're not going long. So, I was avoiding the...
It Chapter 2.
It Chapter 2.
And Zombieland 2.
Zombieland 2. I didn't want to watch those because the trailers for those when they because I watched the initial ones, but I know I'm going to see it.
Yeah.
Most likely like opening day. But I'd done really well avoiding him up until that point. He's like, just close your eyes. I'm like, fuck.
I've done that. I don't remember what the movie was, but I didn't want to see.
You closed your eyes?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was in a theater and there was a trailer playing that I didn't want to see, so I closed my eyes and I closed my ears and just made it through. I'm not saying it was my proudest moment.
Yeah, it looked like you were throwing a fit.
Yeah. I don't want to be here, la 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 la. Kind of like right now. I don't want to be here, but I'm here, so I'm stuck here, so let's keep going. But what about you? What was your favorite of the scary stories?
I think it was, I liked the, what do they call him, Mr. Jangles? Or the Jangles man or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite.
Yeah, that one was super creepy, and I liked that each one was unique and different. It was definitely creepy and had that Del Toro spin of odd monster creatures, but they each had their own unique sort of flair to them. Problem?
Yeah?
What?
McNair?
I don't want to. That's like a paragraph.
Yeah.
I don't want to read that.
Thanks, dude. He's trying to play a game.
Okay.
Saw was last week, dude. He said, listening while I do my standards. Brandon, let's play a game. Every time I disagree with you, something from your desk disappears. Wow, that's hilarious. Do I have a choice? Because if I have a choice, I'm going to respectfully decline. Play
the game.
Says somebody without a desk.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's all good. I get there before you anyway.
Let's see what's next. I liked most of the characters. The main kid with the curly hair.
Yeah, that was your biggest gripe.
Yeah, I don't know. It was whether it was the dialogue, what was written for him, or it was just his performance in general. Mm-hmm. It was just off. It seemed a little like kid actor, not quite ready.
Yeah,
for a movie.
He was definitely the weaker of the group. I'll give you that.
And
I don't think he did as bad as you did. But.
Well, I think it's just everyone else did such a good job that I don't know, for him it just, and maybe I was just so irritated by everything else going on in the theater that I latched onto that to be my crux.
Right.
But yeah.
Hey, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And for those that listen, he wasn't joking with how much he likes the remake.
Yeah. Boom.
Yeah, I already pointed to it, idiot. Continue.
Boom.
Boom.
You want to contribute to the actual content of the show?
No, I'm just gonna. I'm the comedic relief.
Oh, I'm relieved.
Oh,
this is hard to do without notes because usually I have this whole paragraph of things to go off of, and it's this whole thing. The next one after the Scarecrow.
Oh yeah, because the Scarecrow was the first one.
Yeah, the jock kid did that. The second one was the toe one.
Oh, that's right. Which was disgusting. Yeah,
that was pretty gross. Because when he pours out the stew after he almost eats the toe of the dead lady, if that's not creepy enough for you,
right?
He spills the stew on the floor and you see an eyeball.
Well, and the thing is like the toe in the stew itself looked huge.
Yeah.
But then when he pulls it out of his mouth, it's not that big. Like, I don't know, but like...
The power of zoom, I guess, on the camera.
Fair enough. But seriously, like, a toe is generally larger. So that would have been the only thing that made it on the spoon.
Fair enough.
I know.
Stupid thing to gripe about, but I'm with you.
Yeah,
It was
I don't
certainly...
like feet, though, so...
Huh? Okay. I like that one in that it kind of subverted some of my expectations of how the scares were going to play out. Because the first one with the Scarecrow was nice because it was like a test for me. I was like, okay, PG-13 horror, they can only show so much. What are we going to get from the kills? Because in Happy Death Day, they just cut away.
Right, and the thing that we didn't really talk about either was when... are we going to talk about the kills afterwards? Because, we
can do whatever you want, man.
Well, no, because, when Harry or Henry, he gets stabbed through the back with a pitchfork, right, in which there's no blood, but then...
Harry Henry is the Scarecrow's name.
Huh?
Henry is the Scarecrow's name. It's not the kid's name.
What's the kid's name?
I don't know.
All right. Well, the kid gets stabbed through the back with a pitchfork, and then all of a sudden, things start shooting out. It looks like he's about to throw up. At first, I thought it was bugs.
Yeah, I was thinking that he severed something and it was blood, but they weren't going to show it.
But then it's just straw shooting out everywhere.
Yeah, I wish I had mentioned that. That part is what made it.
Yeah. That's kind of cool.
It really added to that, this is super twisted creepy because he essentially is turning into a scarecrow.
Yeah, and it's not quick.
No.
I
it looked quite painful, and that's why I was surprised, they got away with a lot for PG-13.
I wouldn't necessarily go and say that it's drawn out.
No.
But it is a longer bit of him just
coughing up straw. He's pulling it out of his hair.
Yeah, he's literally just ripping everything out, and
you don't really see what really comes of him until after the fact, when the girl and the guy go to track him down because he's missing.
Yeah.
And
Ramon's getting blamed for everything.
Yeah, because this was 1968.
It was in the time of Nixon.
Yeah. I think it was October 1968 when Nixon was getting reelected.
Yeah. So kind of glossing over quite a bit that so Ramon comes in. We did kind of go. We didn't really talk about anything leading up to the first kill.
I know.
So
this is what happens when I don't have notes.
Yeah,
I'm just grabbing
fair
at
enough.
stuff.
Okay, so leading up to that, this is where you kind of first meet the Ramon character. Ramon Rodriguez / Morales. So, the kids, the group, they are playing a prank on this
bunch of jock kids.
Yeah, being the one that gets turned into a scarecrow. And so what they do though, and the funny thing is the sister catches I wish you should pull up the names on your phone.
I can do that.
So the curly head boy that Justin doesn't like was, he had a little fish, like a fish net, and was scooping turds out of the toilet.
Which was pretty freaking gross, let's say.
Yeah, but I thought it was hilarious. So he's all he slams the door. He's like, "Give me some freaking privacy, gosh."
Which, why wouldn't you have the door closed in the first place? You're going in there to fish out.
Right. I mean, if you're going to dig turds out of a toilet, I wouldn't want to get caught.
Also, he was putting his face on the net. It was pre-turds.
Yeah,
but it was at least used for a fish tank.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah. And so he's digging those out because what they do, what I gathered, was that so he puts it in the bag, but then what did they put? Some sort of they put underwear, something.
Yeah, they didn't really show it.
It was a big pillowcase that had a bunch of shit in it. I shouldn't say shit because that's
not literal shit. And that's what I thought was in the pillowcase was the literal shit.
But
and then they light it on fire and throw it in the car.
Yeah. So what happens is they have this big bag. They come by, they hold it out for them, and then they basically booby trap the bag with whatever's in it.
Yeah, something
and so
gross.
They stop, and then they start egging the car and throwing toilet paper at the car. And then the dude gets pissed.
Yeah, as you
backs
would.
up, and then they light the bag on fire with the turds in it, and then throws it. I don't know if they expected the window to be down. But it went and landed right on the guy's lap, and he's smacking it. And
yeah, best case scenario, how do you think that's going to pan out? I mean, really.
But that's that's the whole point. You light the bag on fire, try to stamp it out, and get turds everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so
The jock's name was Tommy.
Okay, yeah. So Tommy turns into the Scarecrow. Ruth is the sister of Chuck. Chuck's the curly-headed kid that Justin didn't like.
Yeah.
So Ruth, and later on, and you'll see it in the trailer, she's like, she has the one that has the spider leg.
Yeah, coming out of her face.
So
that was creepy as shit.
Okay, so you had Stella, Augie, and Chuck. Those are the main kids.
Right.
And then Ramon is the boy that gets blamed for everything.
Right. Essentially.
Because he's a kid of color, and it's...
Who are you looking for?
Him. Because I thought he looked more Indian in the
movie. Yeah,
movie.
he kind of did, but whatever. What do I know?
No, I mean, it's like, they're really playing it up. Like, there's a lot of... uncomfortable moments.
Yeah,
like,
it's like they're really playing up the racism after the time of hardcore
Vietnam
racism
and all that kind of stuff.
shit.
Yeah,
like
they Tommy. We can get to that point later on. So they then chase. They back up and then they get out of the car to chase the kids that go running through the just to escape.
Yeah,
and so they end up
at a drive-in.
At the drive-in,
and that's where they meet Ramon.
Yeah, because Stella gets into the car and she's like, "Hey, can I hide here?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then all of a sudden, like, boom,
the other
boom,
two come in.
They just
like,
sneak in. It's like,
"What the fuck are you doing here?"
Let's use the girl to get in the car, basically. And so, yeah, they're hiding out, and then they think they get away. Then all of a sudden, boom, boom, boom. They all, three of the jocks are surrounding the car.
And the sister's kind of vanished.
Yeah, she's not anywhere to be seen till later on.
Yeah, and then the jocks get scared away by other people wanting to watch the damn movie. They're watching Day of the Dead? No.
Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead. And so they finally chase the jocks away. I'm trying to remember how they get... Oh, they just go to the house.
Yeah, they're like...
They're like, "Hey, you want to see a scary house?"
Yeah, she gets out of the car. She's crying because of what Tommy says. Because you'll find out in the movie that Stella's mom left when she was a baby.
Yeah.
And so she has a lot of this, guilt because she thinks it's her fault. And generally, it's not.
Sure.
And so they leave. They go to the house. And then they're exploring it, I guess. And
yeah, because there's this legend of the lady that lived there, the girl whose name I'm not going to remember. Let me see if I can find it.
Oh, it's Sarah Bellows.
Yeah, Sarah Bellows. There it is, right there. And that she killed a bunch of kids back in the 1800s, and that the house is haunted, of course. And so they're traversing the house trying to find creepy shit.
Right, because the Bellows, it takes place in Pennsylvania. And the Bellows were one of the first big families to settle. And so they have this giant ass house, and then they built an steel or iron mill?
I thought it was paper.
It's a paper mill.
I'm pretty sure it's
some
paper
sort
mill.
Of mill.
Yeah, they built a mill, which more or less helped build the town,
right,
and put it on the map.
Which also does kind of play into the whole reasonings of everything. But so they're searching through the house, and Ramon notices something on the wall, and then they realize that it's kind of like I've never seen
it's like a hideaway safe.
Yeah, kind of. So it's generally when you have secret passageways, you'll move a shelf or you'll do something like that. But this one is instead of it opening, it slides to the right, and then there's a door there.
Yeah.
Which is where you find out is where they stashed Sarah, because with that, so the Bellows were obviously the rich, prominent family there, and then Sarah was kind of the one that they
black
hit.
sheep.
Yeah, they kind of hit her because she wasn't like everybody else. There was something off with her. I think they might have said she had albinism or something like that. And so they were ashamed of her, and they hit her, classic style, locked her up in this hidden room downstairs. And that kind of started the whole storytelling myth, because there was also the maid was, she was into witchcraft. And so basically what happened with that is that's how the story started.
Right.
Because she would write down or she would read stories from the book, but the book would basically write itself.
Well, I think what happened back in the day is she was legit writing the stories. And as she wrote the stories, they would actually happen to the real people.
Okay.
It's only now that she's been dead for 100 years or whatever.
So basically, instead of it being a voodoo doll, it's like a voodoo book.
Yeah.
Like instead of pinning something, you're writing it down and...
Right.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So now that she's gone, she's writing her spirit form or whatever you want to say is writing the books for the new kids.
Which is super cool.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't sure how they were going to do it because I was thinking the stories were all pre-written and that they were just going to read them and it would happen to somebody.
Yeah, but...
That's the way the trailer made it seem to me. Like they were just going to read a random story or the book would have them read a story.
Right.
And then it would happen to some random kid.
Yeah.
But I like this better.
I like this better too.
It's creepier.
Because they say the book's written in blood. And when you're
Children's blood.
Yeah. Ooh.
Ooh. I got to play up something for the camera. I mean, come on,
Please
I'm right
don't.
here.
God. So, but the thing is like, that's kind of like, they're like, aside from it being like ghost written, their way of being like, oh, you know, this is about to happen is they would like smear the paper.
Yeah. It would smear the ink or blood and they would go, oh, this isn't an old story that's been here for 100 years and change.
Yeah,
it's happening right now.
Yeah. It's in process, which, you know, jump ahead leading into the whole Augie thing with the toe and the stew and all that kind of stuff, that they were reading it as it was happening, but it was kind of, I guess, ahead.
Yeah, see, that's what's interesting, because it was like, with Tommy, the story was written already, and she was reading it as it was happening. Or it had already happened, maybe, possibly. And we were just seeing it as she was telling the story.
Yeah, I don't think it really gives you the
definitive answer on that. Whereas with Augie, it's more...
They're reading it, and it's happening as it's being written, and they're like, you know, because the undead lady is like, you know, who took my toe? And he hadn't started hearing that yet, but they're reading it in the book. That he has. He should have heard it a couple times up until... You know, he finally did.
Although it makes me wonder, that scene when it was happening, I was like, is him hearing that them saying it, not necessarily the ghost lady saying it,
right? Well, the first time he heard it was, I think he heard it at the same point as when they, like the last time they said it on the phone. Yeah, he heard it. Like they started to say it, but then he heard it actually happen in the house. Right. And so that's when he like freaks out and runs off.
That's what I know that part, but I mean like when they're reading it for the first time that he heard it being said.
Yeah, no, they read it like 2 or 3 times before he actually heard it. I don't get what you're fucking saying.
I'm saying that the book is referencing them saying it.
Oh, that's not what you said though.
That's what I was trying to say. Well, how about that?
Fucking look at me like
that. The people at home watching us right now, they got it.
All 3 of them didn't get it either. I can almost promise you. But yeah, so he runs, ends up hiding, tries to get. He like hides in like what looks to be like his dad's office. Yeah. Or his. It could be his room because he's kind of uptight.
Yeah, so it's his room or his parent. I thought it was his parents' room because there's a bed in there.
Yeah, but it's a small. But it's like a twin-size bed though.
Well, maybe.
So it might be his room. Don't get along. So this kid, Augie, he's kind of like. For Halloween, he dressed up as a Pierrot, I guess, which is like a 16th century clown or something.
And so he doesn't like being called a clown. He likes being called the proper name.
He's smart. You know, so like I guess it kind of makes sense that his bedroom would be super clean, super organized, almost looked like an adult study is what his room looked like. And so Augie's running, he's trying to get out the window, it doesn't work. He goes to hide under the bed. And then the door opens, but he never hears anybody come in. So he slides out under the bed in the dumbest way possible. This was the thing that got me, because I'm like, if I go to hide under a bed and I go in the side, I'm going to go back out the side.
Yeah, you would think.
Because he goes to climb out like from the front part. So then he climbs out halfway. He doesn't even get all the way out. He climbs out halfway.
Peers over the top of it.
And then kind of peers up over, and then you kind of see his head, and then he doesn't see anything, and then all of a sudden... yanked back under the bed.
That's what I liked about it, because the obvious thing would be, oh, she's standing somewhere where that he can't see, or she's on the bed and will hop down and get him.
Right.
But the fact that he was dragged back under the bed, nails digging into the wood, which is a nice touch.
But that didn't happen yet. So when he gets dragged back under the bed, he's still laying back to the floor, and then he looks up, and then all of a sudden, the face appears and then screams, and then I don't remember if he tries to turn over or the undead lady turns him over.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But then pulls him, and then he starts clawing at the floor, trying to stop. Which, I don't know why people do that. Like,
I think
just gonna rip your fucking nails out, man.
I've seen that in movies too, and it's like,
was it Stir of Echoes?
Yeah.
That's bad. But that was the coolest part, though. Yeah, it gets drug out.
Yeah.
And into the what looks like just a long black. It's a long
chasm.
slide, yeah. And then the kids show up,
like moments later,
and they're like, "Oh, weird, he's not in here, so let's move his bed."
Yeah,
right.
They do just kind of happen upon, hey, maybe he's under the bed. Let's move the bed.
So instead of looking underneath the bed where he might be, they fucking Hulk it out of the way, and then you just see scratch marks leading into the wall, into the baseboards. It was cool. I liked it.
I mean, you can certainly nitpick that part, and I didn't really put that together, but yeah, it's definitely like really they just happen to know that,
right.
But it's a cool effect, and the idea that if he hadn't left the scratch marks, they would have been like, okay, so what the hell?
Yeah, I get it for the story purposes, but it's just like, if I'm gonna get dragged somewhere, I'm probably just gonna end up being
dead.
Yeah, because
keep your nails intact.
Yeah. I'd rather not be in fucking excruciating pain before I'm
in excruciating pain.
Yeah, before I'm ended. But so
you're doing really well here.
I was doing really.
You're remembering a hell of a lot more in detail than I was.
Well, I'm not gonna, like you said, I'm not gonna carry the show. So
weird. It's strange.
Don't look at this ain't The Office. He's like, that's really weird.
I'm trying to remember what happens next. 'Cause so by that time, they're all freaking out and like, oh God, who's going to get it next?
Well, yeah.
And then they try and destroy the book.
Okay.
They Because they meet up at that like field.
Right, and there's a little bit more going on in between there, but it's not enough for me to even remember what happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, they end up in a field.
You can just do highlights.
Yeah, they're going to try to destroy the book. They throw the book into a
barrel,
like a metal oil drum, and then they put the book in there. They light some brush and throw it on top. Everything burns but the book.
Of course, as happens.
And then everybody shows up. Ruthie shows up with Chuck.
Yeah, well, they showed up before they tried to burn the book.
Okay, yeah, because like,
Ruth was like, "Screw this noise and your scary stories."
Yeah, and see, the thing that we forgot to mention too was because at the drive-in, Augie was talking about, or it seemed like he had a crush on Ruth, on the sister. He's like, multiple times he's like, "Hey, you perv, stop staring at my sister."
Yeah,
and so what happens is, he then at the drive-in kind of seemed like he was vibing on Stella a little bit because she was paying attention to Ramon. And then when they're at the Bellows Manor or whatever, they're downstairs. She ends up like up against a wall in like spider webs, and then
just Tommy meets them at the house,
locks them in.
Yeah, and because Ruth is trying to save her brother,
she's like, let him out.
Yeah, he's a dick, and he shoves her in the room, too. Yeah, he straight
kicks her right into the fucking room.
Yeah. And then locks the door behind her and gets all a bunch of spider webs on her. And
essentially gets bit on the cheek.
Yeah.
And then Augie kind of comes to the rescue, cleans everything off, and then she smiles and he smiles, and it's like, oh.
They're going to end up together, but they're not.
They're not. She's going to end up crazy, and he's going to end up dead.
Spoilers.
Yeah, well, we already covered one of it, but we're getting ready. So it turns out with Ruth, she ends up leaving because she's like, I have a musical to do.
And I don't believe this nonsense of scary stories coming true because that's just crazy talk.
Yeah, she's like, you guys are idiots.
There always has to be that one person that's like, this thing that this movie's about, that's crazy bullshit.
Everybody's like that in this movie except for the kids. Even the dickhead sheriff.
Well, yeah, I know, but that's a given.
Sorry.
You okay?
Yeah, no, I'm not. My body hurts. So yeah, they end up going there. She's over time throughout the movie, leading up into the musical. It looked just
It
like
looks
a
like she has
zit,
a zit, yeah.
but it starts to really ramp up at the when she's at the school. She's in there. It's the part you see in the trailer where it's this big old fucking just goiter on the side of her face. Yeah, and it looks like she's trying to pop it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start to see the movement underneath. The spider leg pops out, which would suck.
Well, yeah, that part was really creepy and well done because she thinks it's like a hair or something, so she tugs at it.
And then
it starts to move like a leg.
Yeah.
And, I hate spiders, and that just creeped me the hell out.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
And then one comes out and crawls on her face, and then like hundreds just pour out of her face and crawl all over her.
Yeah.
And
that's bad.
the kids rush to find her and save her, and they pour dirty mop water on her to get all the spiders off.
Well, yeah, because it's like once that thing opened, like the one came out, it was on.
Cascade of spiders.
They're all over. Yeah.
God, that was creepy.
Yeah, I'm not about it either.
And they don't really go into this as much as I think they should have, but more or less it drives her nuts. Literally.
Oh, yeah, she
goes crazy.
Ends up in an asylum and all that.
Yeah. Which they really sort of gloss over, because for a while there I thought she was dead.
Well, yeah, because she gets...
Because Chuck says something like, my sister's gone now.
Yeah,
and I was like,
they do
does he
say
mean
that, because she gets carted off.
Yeah. And you don't see her face, and she's not like going into hysterics or anything.
Right, and the only thing that makes you think that she would be dead is the fact that Chuck said that she's gone.
Right. If they had been like, she got carted away, or now she's in some, mental hospital or something, I'd be like, oh, okay,
right.
There's that. But you don't see her face when she's being put into the ambulance.
Yeah, it's kind of like...
It looks like she's in a body bag, almost.
No, because her head's out. Like, she's strapped
I guess
down.
I just didn't see it.
Yeah.
Anywho, so then, what happens next?
I don't know.
Stuff happens.
Has anybody that's in here right now, has any of you guys seen it? I mean, it just came out yesterday. We probably wouldn't have seen it as early as we did if it wasn't for like an opportunity to do a bonus episode.
Yeah.
Live on YouTube. Obviously, that didn't work out.
Live on Facebook now.
Hey,
for all of you Facebook listeners.
Yeah, well, we thought about doing it on Facebook just because that's where the majority of the people who interact with us do it on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
But we wanted to do it on YouTube so that way it would.
It'd be easier access, so you didn't have to have a Facebook account to see it.
Yeah, not everybody's about Facebook.
Yeah, so you could just go to the site and go, and hopefully again. Next time we do this.
Yeah, next time it'll be on YouTube because we're trying to drum up more YouTube subscribers. We're at it was 18, but Dinglefuck over here wasn't even subscribed to his own podcast channel. So now I think we're at 81 subs away from getting our custom link.
Huh.
Hello, David. How you doing, brother?
I don't know who David is.
Well,
hi, David.
That's your fault.
So let's see. We've gotten to Spider Bite. She gets carted away. And now it's just the three kids, and they end up doing research on Susan.
Right, and he's Chuck's like freaking out. He's like, I'm having nightmares and this and that.
About this red room.
About the red room, which I thought was kind of cheesy when they get to the hospital and they're trying to be like, hey, we need records, and they're like, get fucked, we don't give people records, which
is what any hospital would say.
Right, so which
I like that. They didn't just say, okay, here you go.
Yeah, and super sneakily, like it does, like they get in the back like it's nothing. Obviously, it's the late 60s, so
yeah, it's not nearly as tight a security as there is now.
Right, and so they end up getting, they get back there, they're going through the records, and then, like, I thought that the room was like a legit red room. Because in the trailer, you see Chuck when they have the big lady with the weird smush face. Mm-hmm. Like, it's in a red hallway. Like, the lighting's all red. Mm-hmm. So when they said red room, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. It's a room in a hospital, painted red. Dumb. But you get up there, and it's actually... It's an
acronym for
something...
Registered...
Education directory or some weird
something
thing.
Like that. Something that they shouldn't have in a hospital, but they do because it just works.
Yeah, because not only is it a hospital, but it's also like a psych ward or something. The way
they kind of made it seem that way.
It almost looked more like a prison complex than a hospital.
Yeah, it was freaking huge. So they find all the records, and I liked Chuck's demise for the most part. I liked the lady appearing everywhere and just slowly coming in on him.
Yeah, there was nowhere he could go. It was
each hallway he went down, she was there. So he turned around to another place, she was there. And you could actually see her behind him as she was in front of him. And it just sort of closed in more and more and more. And then she, like, enveloped him.
Yeah, so, like, she's standing there, and, like, she just, like...
Gives him a hug.
Like, gives him a hug, but then slowly presses him in to her being.
Yeah.
And, like, just disappears. And the only thing that that lets you know that he was there was his little nudie pin. I don't remember what he called it. It was his girlfriend. Mm-hmm. But, like, he had one of those old school pins that, like...
That's a pencil. It's not going to do what you want it to do.
Well, no, it's like the old school pencils where you flip it over and, like, their clothes disappear.
Yeah.
If you're old, like me, you might remember those. But I
remember him. It was on a... What was that on? I think it was on a cartoon. And they got, like,
Deadpool.
No.
Deadpool had the pin.
Well, probably.
He had the pin that flipped it over, and then it did something. Because they sold the pin with, like, a box... in like a box with the movie.
Oh, okay. I don't remember that part. I'm remembering some sort of...
Because it wasn't a part. It was a fucking... They sold it.
I understand.
Well, you'd be surprised how we make it through episodes.
Usually we don't.
Yeah.
So, anywho, I like the Red Room thing. I think it was really... Like, again, it pushed the boundaries of what I thought PG-13 horror was going to do, and it was creepy. I mean, there were...
Right.
The way these kids die...
Well, I just like I didn't have a problem with it being called the Red Room. It was cheesy for it to be called the Red Room, and it being a literal red with the light, and then seeing the acronym on the door. I'm like, they really play up the red.
Red Room.
Yeah, I'm fine with that because I love the color. It's my favorite color. So
that's nice. Christmas.
God, you just make everything worse. So yeah, they find the pin. They no, they don't even get out.
No, they get accosted by the hospital security and
leading
staff.
up. Well, the funny thing I left out leading up to that, like they show Chuck, like he's going from one side of the hospital to the other, and there's like a walkway, and he's like he sees 3 orderlies standing there, and they're outside smoking, doing whatever, and he stops and then thinks to turn around, but he's like, I'll just keep going and maybe they won't see me.
Yeah. And then I thought for a second they weren't going to see him, and I was like, how are they not going to see him?
Because like literally, like he sees him back here and then comes up and gets past him, and they're like, hey,
what the fuck you doing here?
Kid. Yeah. Like,
you're not supposed to be here, stupid kid.
Yeah. Like their initials like, hey, you know where you're going?
Yeah.
And like, no, I don't.
Well, and I think that's a decent enough inquisition. I mean, it's like a kid who might be looking for a parent or something. He got lost, turned around, and he just kind of happened
then
to be
being like,
there.
hey, you're not supposed to be up here. Are you lost?
Right. I know. They asked the wrong question. I'll go back to the writers and tell them to change it. It's fine.
I hate you. But
so then they get carted off to jail.
Yeah, they end up being taken to the police station. It's old school jail. Like
I know, it looks like an old Western jail.
Kind of, yeah. They have the
open cages.
Just...
I don't know where you're going.
I don't either. I lost my train of thought.
Okay.
I fucking hate you.
So they hold the 2 kids. There's only 2 left now.
Yeah, so they're sitting... Yeah, it's just Stella and Ramon. They're sitting there... the sheriff, who was the racist sheriff early on. Okay, so we did gloss over it, like talking about how it was for people of color at that time. Like the guy was like, "Hey, what are you doing what are you doing here?" Like it was so
like
weird
in this town.
Yeah, it was weird to see like a Mexican boy in a town that they're like he was like they literally like came at him.
Yeah,
and then. Not even like taking into the fact that Tommy fucking trashed his car.
Yeah, and they didn't really. He didn't seem to care about that.
Well, on the hood, They spray painted wet on the hood, and then they spray painted back on the trunk, which is what they called him several times. Well, Tommy did in the movie, which is fucked up in itself. But the cop didn't even care.
No, and that was what was so strange. I didn't even really... Because when they first interact, and he was like, what are you doing here? I was like, oh, is he like a delinquent that did something, and so he's on this cop's radar? Like, I didn't even put together the racial thing until later.
Which is weird, too, because, like, he was clean cut.
Yeah.
He
looks better than we do right now.
You know, and, yeah, just a clean cut kid with a nice car.
Yeah.
Passing through town.
Yeah. It's not like he's blaring music or doing anything obscene, or he's just driving.
No, he's
just there.
Yeah. And so Ramon and Stella, they're at the police station, and the sheriff, police, whatever it is, sheriff, right? Well,
sure.
No.
I'll look it up. It's fine.
Yeah, what's
Chief.
Police chief.
Chief Turner.
So yeah, Chief Turner, he's questioning Stella because he's like, what are you doing with this guy? Like, and she starts to. I don't think they actually they didn't show them telling the story.
No, they don't tell him, but they don't show us telling him, but they essentially tell us that they've told him the story of what's going on with the book and all of that.
Right. And so he's like, I don't believe you guys. He's like, you're going to tell me the truth. She's like, that is the truth. And so he goes and he puts them in
separate cells next to each other.
And is like, I'm going to leave.
And you love birds, have a good night, and I'm going to go fuck off and read your book. For some reason. Which
is then when it starts to write itself. Mm-hmm. And this is where the Jangles Man, what do they call him? Look it up. Okay. Yeah, so what starts out is this head drops down the fireplace, right? And it rolls out.
Jangly Man.
Yeah, which was my favorite one. He pops out and then rolls in front of him, looks up at him, and then like
eyes open,
creepy
voice,
talking about I'm the Jangles Man or whatever, and then the rest of his body starts to drop. Like
the one leg comes down, an arm comes down, both arms and legs, and then his torso drops and makes a big thud, and then he like assembles himself.
Yeah, which is super cool.
Yeah. That was a nice touch. Like, I remember seeing that character briefly in the trailers and going, oh, that's really creepy looking, but they made it even worse by, like, he just comes apart and brings himself back together.
Oh, well, yeah, that's a little bit later on. So was it scary or not? The wife wants to know.
I think so. I would say, especially for PG-13 horror.
There's a lot of tense, creepy moments.
There's some gross out stuff. Like the hay, I think, is really disturbing.
Yeah,
coming out of the mouth.
It's a little disturbing. It's not outright scary, but it's tense. It's creepy, tense, and uncomfortable.
Yeah, there's not a lot of jump scares, but it's disturbing.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think they really push the boundaries of what you can do with PG-13 because it is something that if I were watching it at home or in a theater where I could actually get immersed more into the movie,
right? I
think it would creep me out. And if I was young, I think it might even give me nightmares. Like the Jangly Man, the hay guy, like they all had this something off about them. Just the look of them.
Right.
Even the big lady in the red room. Mm-hmm. Like they have that creepy Tim Burton, Del Toro look.
Well, it doesn't help that Del Toro was a part of it.
Well, that's the point I'm making. But they have that style for him that
cut you.
That's disturbing.
Yeah. So yeah. So he comes out of the fireplace, assembles himself, and then, kind of does the slow rise up and over the chief, snaps his neck, and then nothing happens, and then the kids are freaking out in the cells, and then the sheriff or the chief just gets tossed up against the cell, which is convenient because I was wondering how the kids were going to get the keys,
and of course they just so happen to be here, and I can reach them perfectly fine on his belt.
Right. And so this was my favorite part. So when the Jangles Man comes around the corner and he's looking for Ramon, He's just saying. He was just saying Ramon, right? Was it, or was he saying something else?
I think he was just. I think he was saying something else, but I don't remember what it was.
I don't remember what it was either, but it was creepy.
Mm-hmm.
And so the thing that I thought was cool, because when he gets to Ramon's cell, he pulls a Wishmaster. Have you ever seen the Wishmaster movies? Somebody needs to request that because those are old school. Long story short, in the Wishmaster, people will find him, make a wish, and it'll be like the most fucked up way that it can, happen.
Yeah.
So like, it takes place in a prison, I think 2, and the guy's like, I wish my lawyer would go fuck himself because he's not getting him out of jail.
Yeah.
So the guy's sitting at the table with his lawyer, and all of a sudden you just hear like this crackling as his legs get folded up behind him, and then starts. He's like
Jesus
moving,
Christ.
right? Or he's like, he's like, I can give you whatever you want. Like, I can give you what you want. What do you want? He's like, I wish I could walk through these bars. And he walks through the bars, just not alive. And so that's what made me think of when the Jangles man pushes his way through the bars.
Yeah,
to
that
get
was really
inside
cool.
there.
I kind of saw it coming because with the, his whole shtick of being able to disassemble himself.
But we didn't know he was able to disassemble himself until after they get out and he gets pinned between the police car and the semi-truck.
Well, I assumed he could because that's how he came down the fireplace. That
Fair
was
enough.
his shtick. So there.
Okay.
But that was awesome. Because it was one of those things that I kind of put together after it happened. But Ramon's in the car, and Jangles is on the car, and there's this whole high-speed chase thing going on.
Yeah,
and then
because that thing can move.
Yeah.
And then goes and fucking smacks every single window on the car.
Yeah.
Until he breaks out the one window, and I'm like, huh?
Should have broke out the first window.
Yeah,
That would have been good.
Yeah, maybe.
But then he's able to get him on the hood, and then he's able to speed into this parked
Right, because
truck.
he was like holding on to the front.
Yeah.
And just gets wedged. And then like it almost took him a minute to be like, oh, I'm not going to get out of here. So let me just disassemble my body and drop down, then reassemble. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah, that was fucking awesome.
Super cool. So then books it.
And at the same time...
Oh, yeah, because Ramon goes from there. He goes back to the house because Stella, on the other hand, was going back to the house to try to figure out how to stop...
Susan.
Sarah.
Sarah?
Sarah Bellows.
Sarah. I keep saying Susan.
You keep saying a lot of things wrong. So tries to get back to the house because they're trying to figure... Oh, well, shit. They go to find... Lulu.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we breezed over that real quick. So there's a part where the kids, where Ramon... Well, this is before Chuck, because Chuck is there. He's pacing in the corner like a weirdo. So all 3 of the kids, they go to find Lulu, which at the time of when Sarah was alive was a child.
Yeah, the daughter of their maid.
Yeah, daughter of the maid. And then gets... the daughter of the maid, and then they go to find her to see if she's still alive. They find the daughter of Lulu, and then they're asked her questions, and then she starts to get worked up because of the music box. We're glossing over a lot, guys, but
well, we got to get through this at some point.
And so but yeah, that kind of leads into it because that adds the witchcraft aspect to it, and so they're trying to figure out how to stop it.
Right.
And so then they, so fast forward back to,
the house.
Yeah. Stella's in there. She's like, she's yelling. She's like, Sarah, we know that you're innocent. We're sorry, because while they're at the hospital, they found the that wax canister, I think they called it, that had before.
An old audio recording.
Yeah. Cause I guess back in the day before they had records, they had them, but they were on cylinders that they would put on there and it would just spin.
Yeah, it was on a spool thing and it would just run over.
Very similar. And so they find out, the whole plan that, the Bellows were poisoning the water with mercury from the paper mill. I don't think it ever says why they were doing what they were doing.
Well, I don't think it was necessarily on purpose. It wasn't like, oh, we're trying to be dicks to this town. It was because they were making this paper, the runoff from it just so happened to be poisoning this water.
Okay, well that makes more sense.
It wasn't a malicious thing. It was just something that happened, and they knew about it.
Yeah, and they were trying to cover it up, and that's how. Because it turns out that you find out that her daughter Ephraim was her doctor at the hospital. Yeah, her brother Ephraim.
You said daughter.
Either way.
Same difference. It's all fine.
I hate you.
Hey, I've fucked up more times than I can count on this one already, so we're good.
Well, hey, this is going off the cuff, so. Yeah. But yeah, her brother Ephraim was her doctor at the hospital,
right? Who
was interrogating her and doing electroshock on her.
Yeah, that was pretty intense to hear because every once in a while, because he was asking her questions, and when she wouldn't tell him what he wanted to hear, which was that she was poisoning these kids.
And then the cool thing at the very end, she starts talking about something that's happening in real time.
Yeah.
Which is also something really cool. So yeah, we're forgetting a lot of things, which would be cool because if you haven't seen the movie and you've been hanging out with us, we appreciate that. But then at the same time,
there's stuff that we didn't cover that you'll catch when you actually watch the movie.
Yeah, this is just a
crazy ramblings that we come up with as we can think of.
And we're gonna do this again in 2 weeks for It Chapter 2. But we're gonna have it'll be done. We'll have it done better. We might do it on Facebook.
We'll be more prepared.
We might do it like the way we're doing it now. We might do it on Facebook at the same time as doing it on YouTube. Who knows?
Yeah, if we can figure that out. Let's master one before trying to tackle two at a time.
I know my ideas. I'm all like, we could probably
Let's broadcast this live on Fox. Let's just see, like.
Okay, back to the story.
Terry Bradshaw. Let's get him to announce it.
You said Carrie Bradshaw.
I know,
though.
And I said it, and then I realized it was wrong,
no!
and I changed it to Terry.
And I know what that is because my wife has watched Sex in the City.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at you downplay it like you didn't know.
I didn't know. I do know, but I didn't.
Subconsciously, he's a Sex in the City fan.
My wife made me watch it.
Yeah, blame your wife. That's what we all do, right? Oh, my wife made me watch it.
It's a good show.
Is it though?
Yeah. It's fine. I'm not going to watch it on my own, but it's fine.
No. So back to where we were.
They're in the house.
Yeah, they're in the house.
Jangles is chasing
Ramon around. Yeah, she's.
And when, God, I'm just doing terrible with names. When Stella
she
walks
makes her
into
way
the house.
Yeah, she just yells. She's like, "I know you're innocent. I'm sorry." Blah blah blah.
But then the house transforms into the house back in the 1800s.
Right, and it's not immediate. And they show a glimpse of that earlier on, too, when Chuck's hiding in the closet, when he's hiding from Tommy.
Yeah.
And he slowly opens, and then he sees the grandma sitting there with her badass Doberman.
Yeah. Well, see, and when he was spouting off about the red room, I thought he was talking about that.
Oh.
What they should have done is actually shown one of his nightmares.
That would have helped.
Because I thought when he was saying red, because that room was also red.
It had some red in there.
But that's whatever.
Either way.
Fine.
So, yeah, he after a little bit of time, she's yelling. That house transforms for her like it did for him. So now she's seeing it.
But it's the entire house.
Yeah, so she's seeing it how it was back in the day. And then Ramon gets there shortly thereafter, and the book is laying on the floor because now she's in the book, I guess. I don't know where.
Well, I mean, more or less she's, yeah, I guess. She's either in the book or I guess she's just transported to the house in the 1800s.
Something about that. But I don't know. It's some weird veil type shit because, like, they can kind of hear each other. Like when Ramon runs upstairs, she can hear it. And then, he can hear her, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And so they show Ramon, he's running through the house trying to get away from the Jangles man. And then she is trying to deal with the Sarah situation. So she's running, hiding. She notices that when she goes in that same bedroom and looks in the mirror, that she looks like Sarah.
Right.
Which they don't actually show. They show a tail of her popping off to the side. Should people read the book before seeing the movie? No, I don't think that you would have to do that.
Like I said, I've never even heard of the books beforehand, and it didn't. I think the nice thing about this, and it's what I want to know and why I wish you remembered them more, is how close these stories stick to the stories in the books.
We might do an update at some point. Maybe if we have like a shorter episode, I'll because I can. They have them. It's on YouTube, like the audio versions of the book.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind owning the books, like the old school black and white cover.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think that you would have to. It would help.
Yeah, I think.
But the movie itself is good. Like I think you would like the movie.
Yeah,
I think Maisie would like the movie when she's a little older. I'm talking to my wife, so.
I put that together.
Yeah.
Well, I think what, not to tie it too much into my other nerd culture stuff, but it's like any given comic book movie nowadays.
Oh, okay,
I was going to go full on MCU, but I decided to skip over.
Yeah, for those that can't see.
Every other part of my room, comic book stuff.
Yeah. I'll send you a snap. I'll send to my wife so she can see.
Yeah, you should.
I will.
But you won't.
I will.
But if you watch any given comic book movie now, it's like if you've read the books,
they deviate.
They deviate, but you get more out of them. They reference stuff, and you go, "Oh, I know what that was a reference to in the comics." So I don't know. Like I said, having never read the books, I don't know if they're referencing things from the books.
Well, see, what it seemed like what they did is because, like each one of what I think that they did is I think the Scarecrow is one story. The Spider in the Face is one story.
Right,
They're all
they
separate.
integrated it and intertwined.
They did a really good job of doing that too. They took all the stories and then they integrated it into one. Like they had the
overarching
movie.
story.
Yeah, they had the movie and then they just kind of plotted everything else around it and then tied it in.
Yeah,
which
it's what I wish they would do with the Goosebumps movie. Instead of making it so stupid and goofy, like if they made a Goosebumps movie like this, that would be so freaking cool.
But I don't know. But I think that the Scary Stories is a darker version of that, though.
Oh, definitely.
Because, I mean, Goosebumps was always more lighthearted. It was scary, but it was always more fun.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah.
I'm wishful thinking out loud. Yeah. But, yeah, like I said, having never read it, I think it totally works on its own.
Yeah.
And it's super creepy and intense at times.
It is. And so she makes her way downstairs. So she's hiding underneath the table when she sees Lulu, who's a child at this time. So which would make her really old. Well, no.
No, because this was 68.
She'd have been 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
But she
I was thinking that when I was watching it, I was like, she would be super freaking old, but it's technically the early 1900s.
Well, yeah, I think it took place in like 1890, 1898.
Yeah, so I mean, conceivably, she could be
78.
70s, 80s.
She looked healthy, aside from being blind. She didn't look old and frail.
Yeah.
So she's hiding under the table, and then the family's like, Lulu, have you seen her? And she's like, no, I haven't seen him. And then they find her under the table, and then they drag her downstairs
and lock her in her room.
Which is where she kind of has her, I wouldn't say final showdown because it's not really a showdown, but this is where she kind of has her confrontation with Sarah and is like, I'll tell your story, I'll tell your story. And she ends up getting to a point to where she can kind of convincingly get her to understand, because then Sarah gives her like this really cool quill style pen where she has to get her own blood to then write. And so it's almost like she has to like pitch it to her, being like, this is what I'll say. And then, everything gets fixed and everything.
I don't know if this makes me a terrible person. Probably does. But there was a part of me that wanted them all to die. And I thought that would
make you a horrible person. Why?
Just because I think that would have been a really disturbing ending, to be like, Sarah's too far gone. They reach her. She's not, and No, I know. I'm just saying.
No, I know. They're able to kind of break through that. But I get if they weren't able to break through,
it would have been a way to do a sequel instead of the way they seem to be setting up a sequel, in that someone else finds the book and it just kind of keeps going in a similar way.
Right. So, yeah, they do that. Augie and Chuck are still gone. She's with her dad again in the truck, and then Ruth's in the back seat.
Yeah, crazy Ruth was, I don't know, broken out at the hospital,
or they signed her out somehow. Yeah, somehow
day pass.
somehow she ends up in the truck with them.
Yeah.
Which it's not even her family, so I don't know why she's with them. How she got out of the hospital.
That's the only thing that I found kind of hokey is they were really kind of just shooing in this setup for a sequel to be like, we're going to track them down using the book, why we're on the road to do that, who knows, but it's fine.
Well, they showed Ruth, she had like a scar.
Yeah.
And it was already healed.
Yeah.
So that happened quick.
Or it's been a while.
Nope. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it could have been a couple months down the line.
Well, for that to heal and scar back up, it would have to have been a decent amount of time.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, they basically set it up to like the sequel is going to happen, and it's going to have them, and they're going to, because they're talking about Chuck and Augie, they're both still gone.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like I don't know if they're going to do a sequel where they try to find them and then incorporate more of the stories into it.
That's what it seemed like.
And so, I mean, I'll see it.
No, yeah, if it's as good as this, if not even better, would be nice. I'd go.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what angle they would take with it.
Yeah, and again, that's my only really sort of gripe, other than the kid actor and for Chuck, is that the ending. It was like, oh crap, we need to find an ending that sets up sequels because you have to have a sequel.
Yeah, you can't just
have one movie that's good.
Movie
that's
anymore.
Terrible. That's against the law now.
And it was just don't sell though, man.
I know, but it was just sort of shoehorned in there, and it was like, well, okay, that's a fine way to do a sequel. It's not what I would have done, but it's fine. So there you go.
Yeah.
And then it ends.
And that's it.
Mm-hmm. Again, I really liked it. I'm definitely going to buy it when it comes out and watch it as many times as I can.
Right. So, do we want to do a scorecard for this?
Well, we can. Here, give me. I don't have it off the top of my head of what our categories are here.
Yeah,
so.
and I don't have my phone. So, best kill or scare.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably gonna go. The best kill by far was Tommy and the Scarecrow.
Yeah, definitely.
The dumbest moment would probably be.
Well, if you actually remember what all of them are, because
dumbest moment would probably be some Ruth ending up in the back of the truck with no explanation. Most wanted to live would be Ramon, because I just felt bad for him, because he was a boy of color in the fucking 60s.
And he just kind of got screwed into, these people got into my car, I couldn't get rid of them,
and now I'm shoehorned into this crazy crap. Most wanted to die, I would probably say Tommy, because he was just a prick the whole time. A drunk prick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, I mean, he was basically, aside from, like, the chief being a dick to Ramon, he's really the only other antagonist besides Sarah.
Yeah.
My favorite... I would say that my favorite category for this movie would be the favorite story. I would probably go with the Jangles Man.
I agree with all of the things that you just said, except for my favorite story would be the Scarecrow.
Right. Yeah. Well, the Scarecrow story was really cool. I thought that the Jangles thing was scarier. Like, it was creepier. The ability to, because the funny thing is like they showed the Scarecrow, like he was moving quick up and down, in and out, but then when he was in the same aisle as him,
I
he
did
was
notice
moving
that
really slow.
Well, and I wonder if that I thought of that when we were watching it, but I was like, maybe it's on purpose.
It could be on purpose, but then at the same time, when he stabs him with the pitchfork, he does it in the one spot there's nothing.
Yeah.
He has no torso.
Yeah.
It's just
bar.
Spine. Yeah. And so then when the Scarecrow rips it out and fucking just gets him right in the back.
It's fucking awesome.
It was super cool. That was probably my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah, not to piggyback off of everything you just said, but everything you just said.
But you will.
Well, I agree with you for pretty much for the most part, except for the favorite story, which was the Scarecrow, and
that is probably my favorite story. But I thought the Jangles Man was the creepiest.
Fair enough.
So.
I love the after effects of him pulling the hay out of everywhere.
He was just ripping it off. Like,
that was the disturbing. Like the pitchfork was cool,
It's almost like when
in a
you walk,
given-
like if you're walking and you get a bunch of cobwebs on you,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just like pulling, like trying to get everything off you, or you feel like there's
like
a
Ruth
bug.
did.
Well, like, or like if there's like a, it's almost like that panic, like if there's like a bee that's going around you and you're swatting at it, trying to get it right. He's just ripping, trying to get all the fucking straw out of there, and it just was not working. So yeah, go ahead and call it a show.
I think so. We've
All right,
tortured
guys.
you guys long enough.
Right. So today is Saturday. We're going to get together probably next Thursday to record our Leslie Vernon episode.
Yeah.
And then,
That'll post the following Monday.
right. So yeah, you guys are going to get almost weekly content for about a month.
Yeah.
So
You're welcome.
if there's an uptick,
We'll try and keep it going.
well, and so, all right, guys, thank you for hanging out with us. Does anybody have any questions or want to say anything before we sign out? All
While we're
Two
still
of
on
you
mic. We can drop off a couple.
Well, no, I'd never trust what it says the view count is, because it'll say 2, but then people come in and out. Like right there it says 2, but it doesn't say there's anybody watching. So,
So since there's no last minute commenters,
all right, I guess we can call it an episode.
Yeah.
If you guys liked this format, if you thought it worked out, maybe we can do this more often. I don't
now
know.
that we've done it, we can do it even better.
Yeah, we'll do it better next time. Definitely going to get the YouTube figured out. Right now, as you can tell, we're doing it at Justin's house. The whole plan was I wanted to set up my man cave as a video studio. So that way, because I have a lot more horror stuff as well. And I was going to set it up for the backdrop too. But it's nice to know that.
We have a secondary option
Oh, yeah.
in our
And
main
so-
cave.
Alrighty, guys. Well, we're going to get out of here since the view count's dropping and no one said anything. Anyway, thank you, guys. I've been Brennan,
I've been Justin.
and we'll catch y'all next time.
Bye.
Bye. How do I fucking end this?
Do you have to end it on your phone?
Oh, that might help. Oh, this is going to
You
take
can
a
do
minute.
it.
This is funny.
For those of you still watching, hello, this is awkward.
My body hurts. I've been going to the gym as of late because I'm fat.
Sure.
And I don't want to be anymore. And I did legs yesterday. Squats hurts.
Squats does hurts.
Yeah,
Bye, everybody.